Hello there, and thank you for watching another one of my videos. Today I'm going to show you how to splice or shorten a LED light string. So we're going to start with a 60 count blue LED light string. The first thing that I like to do is get rid of all the warning tags. Um, if you're watching this video, you pretty much already know that electricity can kill you. So we're going to take these tags off and clean up the wire just a little bit. With the tags removed, we're going to shorten the length of the connector, the power connector, and the wire going to the LEDs. So I only need about 6 or 7 inches. So I'm going to cut this end off. I'm going to save it for later. So now that I have the plug off, I'm going to unwrap a little bit, and then I'm going to take my wire strippers and I'm going to strip off about a centimeter of the insulation, and that allows me to see the copper. So I have these Leviathan plugs. I bought these bulk off the internet somewhere. I bought a couple hundred of them. I kind of do a lot of Christmas lights and projects like this. So I bought a few boxes of these, and they make it really easy to add a connector, two-prong connector to wires. So it doesn't really matter which plug you get. I got these because they're really easy to use and they were available at the time. And I want to say they were probably around 50 cents a piece. That seems about right for any kind of SPT2 vampire plug or one of these plugs. And you can easy enough use a vampire plug and just crimp SPT2 onto this. But I find these plugs to be a lot easier. So just right now, I'm just backing out the screws so I can put the wire into the little connector. And I put a little bend in there so when I push it into the screw, it'll kind of wrap around the screw inside. And then we just hold it into place and tighten down that connecting screw, and it'll clamp down on the copper part of the wire and make a good connection. And once we get that side done, then we're going to go ahead and flip over and do the same thing to the other side. Just stick the wire in and I tighten down that screw. Now once we get this back together, we'll just take our pair of pliers and push this back together. And then what I like to do, once I get it back together, it's pretty much solid here at this point. Um, but because I know that my lights are going to be outdoors and going under the house to hanging on the house and the wind beating on them, I don't want this wire coming out. So if you're into Christmas lights, you already know how important a hot glue gun is. And if you don't own a hot glue gun of your own by now, go ahead and steal your wife's. Because I'm here to tell you, a hot glue gun is very important into our little Christmas light hobby. So once that hot glue cools, that wire won't ever come out of that plug again. So now we're at the middle of the Christmas lights, and as you can see, there's 3 wires on LEDs. So we can't cut it where there's 3 wires. We always need to cut where there's 2 wires. So we have a positive and a negative. If you cut on the 3 wires and try to splice that together, you'll find that you're blowing out light strings, and that's not a good idea. So what I want to do is shorten my light string down, and with this is a big lot set of blue lights, 60 light count, um, and it allows me to have a string that's 30 lights and about 9 feet long. So that's plenty what I want to do. Um, right now I'm working on doing the outline design of my house, and I'm going to do it in red, white, blue, green. So when you're messing around with lights, it's not a bad idea if you're doing a bunch of strings in series to just cut the ends off and save those ends for later. And that's what I have here is I have a end socket that I had cut off another string that I spliced on, or maybe when I was doing um, my chasers, I took a whole bunch of white lights and I just made one string and cut off the ends. So I have a bunch of extra stuff like this. And you'll find that to clean up your light display and get rid of those bulky plugs, sometimes it's easier to splice a 50 count LED string together and maybe make a 100 count or 150 count. So I have these barrel connectors and I buy these bulk on eBay. It's like $4 for 100 of them. And I find that I go through quite a bit of these building my Christmas display. So I crimp those onto my existing um, power wires. And now I'm cutting some white heat shrink, about 1 inch. And I have some black heat shrink. And this is going to be probably 1/2 inch heat shrink. And that's going to cover everything. So I take my white heat shrink, or let me skip back. I take my black heat shrink and put it over first. On this one, I don't have a lot of wire slack to play with, so I kind of have to, make do with what little bit of wire that I have available to me. But I put the black on first, and then I go ahead and I put the white heat shrink over the barrel connectors. So I'm going to do the short one first because it's easier to do the short one and then do the longer one. So I just strip it down. I go on to the next one. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to strip this one down. So now we need to make sure that our heat shrink gets over the barrel connectors. The last thing we want is the barrel connectors to touch each other. Bad things can happen. So with our heat gun on high, we go ahead and we just melt the end, just to get it so it doesn't move. And then we slide the black over. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to heat the black. And the white that didn't get shrunk will get shrunk now with the heat. And once the black heats up, the white will shrink down onto our barrel connectors inside. So at this point, our Christmas light strand, our 30 light strand is pretty much done. However, we do a lot of these. We already know we're going to do it in a string with red, white, blue, green. So we want to mark our ends. So I have colored electrical tape for each Christmas light strand. If you see any of my Christmas light strands, and I probably have tens of thousands of Christmas lights strands, I have hundreds of thousands of Christmas lights, LEDs. You'll find that each end has a color on it, and it just makes it easier when you're building your display that you know that blue is blue, red is red, green, green. So these are ready to go, and once you've got them together, test it, make sure they're blue. So there's one half. Now we're going to build the other half real quick. We only have to put one end on this one. So we cut the end off of it when we originally started because for whatever reason, those lights that you buy at Lowe's and Big Lots, and that's where I like to buy my lights from because they are much better, I find. Lowe's doesn't have the Christmas lights that I like using, so I find myself traveling about 45 minutes to get to my nearest Home Depot to buy their lights at Christmas time, or I go to Big Lots and I buy up their Christmas lights. So I took that original plug that I cut off at the beginning of the video, and that's what I'm going to put onto this light strand after I shortened it to make this light strand work. Again, I have the barrel connectors and the black heat shrink. So I'm going to put the heat shrink on first this time because I have more wire to play with. So like I said, my goal is to trim out my house, and I really want to go RGB, but I'm really cheap. I don't have a lot of money to throw at this project, and I'm already sitting on over 100,000 LEDs in storage. So I wanted, this is just trim for my house, the corners, around the garage, around the windows, that kind of thing. And I could easily enough use dumb RGBs, but dumb RGBs and the controllers and the power injectors and all that kind of get expensive compared to LEDs when I can just go to Lowe's after Christmas and I can buy them for 50% off. And I'm sorry for dropping the Lowe's line there. I haven't bought any lights at Lowe's. All my lights come from Home Depot, Walmart, or Big Lots, with the majority being Big Lots and Home Depot. But what I'm trying to do is have um, my LEDs in PVC, just like you would do with your bullet RGBs. Um, so I have those in a piece of PVC, and I'm going to do that video next. This is just kind of part one, showing you how to splice together light strings. But I want to trim out my whole house with red, white, blue, green, and then I'm going to let my Lights-O-Rama controller do those because it's a little bit more affordable for me to trim my house with LEDs than it would be to do RGB. So again, I'm just shrinking the heat shrink, and now I'm going to pull my black one over to pull them both together. I love the heat gun. Sometimes I just use a lighter, but the heat gun does it the best. So again, I'm putting my blue tape on. That's going to let me know once these are buried into a piece of PVC, it's going to let me know that, hey, this is the end of the blue strand. And I'm going to do the same over at the socket, and I'm going to say, hey, here it is, here's my blue strand. So now I know that if I need blue light somewhere, I can just plug blue light into either end of my PVC. I can plug another blue in, and I can have blue light somewhere else. And when we test it, it works fine. Perfect. We're going to put those out of the way. So this is the PVC that I'm working on right now. And this is going to be the trim for my house. And we'll get into that on a later video. But as you see, I have red, white, blue, green in here. And I have my 4 channels that I can power it. So I hope this video helps a little bit, and if you shoot me an email, I'll usually get back to you if you have questions. Thanks for watching, and I hope your Christmas light show goes off without a hitch.